Little Violet was born into one of the wealthiest families in old New Orleans and lived in a home on the edge of the Old Quarter on lands then owned by members of the great Marigny family. The male midwife, Dr. Joseph Victor Gottschalk, who helped little Violet come into the world, was involved in the occult, and his association with others who practiced this craft would secure a place in legend for the child. The little girl was said to have eyes the color of amethyst, and she was cooed over by men and women alike. Dr. Gottschalk took wonderful care of the child and gifted her with amethyst earrings that had been sent to him by his sister in Philadelphia as a gift for the girl. When Violet was a bit older, her maternal grandmother fell ill, and her mom went off to be with her. She didn't want her child exposed to the rigorous journey and left her with her nurse. The nurse spoiled Violet and let her have anything she asked for. So when the 5-year-old had a tantrum over her father departing to go to the swamp, she agreed to let Violet go. Her father saw no trouble in it and agreed to take her along. They were gone for 5 days, and on the 5th day, the nurse saw Robert's horse come running towards the home. He was hunched over carrying his little girl, limp and feverish. Dr. Gottschalk arrived and examined the girl. She was pale white aside from her blushing cheeks. Her breathing was shallow, and every few minutes she shivered as if a chill racked through her little body. Violet had contracted a delirium fever, possibly scarlet fever or even malaria. She was expected to die the next day. The next morning, little Violet did die at just 5 years old. She was buried in Espelande Ridge. Her father's guilt was only exacerbated by the grief of the girl's mother. She had a nervous breakdown from which she would not recover. The parents stood beside Malvina Latour, a voodoo priestess, a month after the girl's burial, while Robert, Violet's father, made the hellish pact with the mavens of Marie Laveau's secret societe. He had made a pact with the reigning voodoo. For money, they had agreed to attempt to bring Violet back to life. Violet was removed from her grave in the old Bayou Cemetery and taken to a secret location where she was subjected to the most powerful voodoo and magic that had been performed by the secret societe at the time. Bargains were made with the keepers of the dead and Death himself. As the passage of the moon brought it again to full, Violet's parents heard a knock on the door. The woman standing there moved the folds of her skirt to reveal a very much alive Violet. The servants were terrified that the child had returned, and they feared what she might be capable of. It was also clear to them that their employers had lost their minds. Before long, footsteps would patter throughout the house, and grunting sounds would be heard outside. Animals were found skinned alive and torn in half. Meat stock in the smokehouse would disappear, and some cured meat had little human teeth marks. With the help of Mademoiselle Marie, the nurse who had been with the child since birth, was given the strength to face the little girl alone in her nursery. She trapped her in a bedsheet and tied it in knots while praying the Creole language of voodooing. The nurse rushed to a wagon that waited to take her to Mademoiselle Marie. Upon being turned over to the woman, Violet began screaming and tearing through the bedsheet. Mademoiselle Marie told the nurse to go home and perform the house-cleaning ritual that she had been taught. She advised her to turn her back on the child and forget her. The zombie child never returned, and a year and a day after the nurse had taken her away, the couple was blessed with another child, a son.